Chris Long. I would say my two favorite, I tweeted this today, my two favorite pieces to consume are Matt Harmon and Nate Tice's show, who I've been a fan of those guys for a couple years. Definitely check them out, as well as Chris Long's Greenlight show. And he talked about Roger Rosengarten forever on that show. There's a clip that went around about 2 minutes. He circled back. His longest segment in like an hour and a half show was Roger Rosengarten. He talked about him, changed topic, brought it back to him, changed topic, and brought it back to him a third time. So certainly check that out for some good perspective. We have a clip here from that.
Yeah, I trimmed it for brevity, but it's still pretty long, so just kind of bear with us on it. He has a lot of good stuff to say, so I think what I put in there is pretty worth it.
Maxx Crosby lit that game on fire. They couldn't even get situated. But he's definitely wrecking the pass game, right? This guy, Rosengarten, he comes in the game, and I'm like, holy shit, is he blocking Maxx Crosby a little bit? And this is 2 minutes at the end of the half. So, like, he's getting a drive where they're throwing the ball. But then when it gets down to it, it's like, this isn't one of those possessions where they're just running the ball and Max doesn't get any opportunities. Like, this kid's setting out and he's dancing with Maxx Crosby. And he's doing the mirror drill a little bit. Now, it could be a circumstance of Maxx Crosby wasn't ready for the rotating factor and, like, it just threw him off. It could be the fact that Rosengarten has some length, you know, and Maxx Crosby's got great length. That's the differentiating factor with Maxx Crosby. He'll be running right at you and closing the distance, and you're thinking, this guy's jogging. But he's closing the distance. And this Rosengarten kid has some good length, and he's blocking him. And I know it's just one series, and then they yank him, and I'm watching Macari. You know, he's doing a fine job in the run game and that sort of thing, but he's surviving out on the edge in pass pro. They put this kid Rosengarten back in, and it's like when he's in, nothing catastrophic happens. I went back and looked at the Kansas City game, and he gave up a sack to Chris Jones, and maybe I didn't get to all the plays on the back of the game, but for the most part, what I saw was a guy who's ready to play. He's ready for the big show.
A lot to love there. I love the leaned back pose, kind of very relaxed. Reminds me of the Mike Pereira cut-ins we used to get on Fox. Just kind of lean back. He'll give you his analysis of what the sort of referee did right or wrong there. I love the NFL shield behind him. Just a lot to like there.
Yeah, there are. And we have Chris Robinson in the comments here. He says, sorry I'm joining late, but hope you're addressing how much of an issue Monken is to the dumpster fire as Harbaugh is. Monken hasn't called a good game in a long time now. And I do think that it's a product. What Chris Long gets to is going to tie into this point. What he comes back to, which was a very good point, something Cole talks about a little bit too when we're just chatting, it's that the Ravens don't have world beaters at receiver, such a hot topic throughout the fan base for so long and in Ravens commentary and national media and everything. They don't have these world beaters out at receiver. We're going to look at the Saints, who Olave would probably be the best receiver on the Ravens, and Shaheed and what he's done, and the Ravens don't really have a Shaheed. But when you are struggling to protect the quarterback, you need help to protect the quarterback. How do you get help? You add additional blockers is one of those ways, especially in a true passing down. And we've seen Lamar motion in a Likely or an Andrews or a Kohler or someone. And I do also want to point out that can be a receiver is something I would like to see the Ravens maybe do a little bit. But the point is, now you don't have a huge dynamic threat out wide that is getting shaded, bracketed, whatever you want to call it. And you're reducing the number of responsibilities and reducing the elimination pre-snap, the process of elimination for a linebacker, a safety. Okay, if he's coming in and chipping and I see him chip, then he's running a drag route or something. He's just going to pop out. I'm not worried. I can sit back. So then you don't have these crazy dynamic receivers, and you've got more coverage defenders probably. You don't feel threatened by the tight ends, and that's not what Todd Monken wants to do. Todd Monken wants to get five-man protection, maybe use the back and some jet protection, stuff like that, and then have 4 or 5 guys to put stress on the defense. And when you don't have world-beating, very experienced, you don't have, it's all Devontae Adams. Cowboys are having some similar struggles, even with CeeDee Lamb. We'll get to that, but that's not the offense you want to run. And I will tie it back. We've said it 1,000 times this week, but play action is a huge answer. Chris Long goes on to basically say, if you put Rosengarten in, then you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. So if you think McCary is a better run blocker right now, Derrick Henry erases the bad run blocks. If a guy wins and gets their arm into the gap and can kind of get a hand on Henry, he's going to run right through it. That's why you signed him. So if you think that the best chance to win is to run more 4 and 5 man pass plays, concepts, however you want to call it, and then have the better pass protector, take it in the run game and take your lumps a little bit. That's why you get Derrick Henry. I think that's where the Ravens need to get to. And he gets into kind of some of the stuff that's been going around. You can tell if the Ravens are going to run the ball, if Justice Hill is aligned here and Henry in certain situations. He has a great one-liner that is, he says, I think the great American compromise is pistol, where Henry still has his integrity as a runner. It's not a tell. And you can run some play action that way. It's good for Lamar Jackson. He obviously likes to run more out of shotgun and pistol and things like that, where he can see and maneuver and put stress on the defense without turning his back. But play action has to be a huge answer. The Saints chewed the Cowboys up, ate their lunch. Cowboys were just watching. They were watching football go by defensively. So we talk a lot about Falele. Rosengarten has looked good. Like Long said, there could be some factors. I think he said, please don't make me look like a joker, Rosengarten, going out there against Micah Parsons. But yeah, that's why they brought him in. That's part of this offensive line equation. So then the question is, why isn't Rosengarten playing? I think they have a developmental plan for him, right? We see the Patriots who are about to play here say, hey, we have Drake May playing 30% of snaps with the first team. That's not normal. Rosengarten's playing 20, 30% of snaps, not a quarterback, but they're working him in. They're going to increase it. I would think in this game and the next game, you see Rosengarten become the full-time right tackle there.
And progression isn't linear either. Like he could get in there and struggle a little bit too. I mean, he's a second round pick, right? We're not talking about Joe Alt here. Like this is a guy that's going to have to take some lumps. And yeah, he looked good against Maxx Crosby. If they give Micah Parsons the green light and he makes his way over that way, maybe Micah Parsons has his way with him a little bit. You got DeMarcus Lawrence over there too anyway. So it could be a tough one for him in this game as well. But I think overall, it's just keep the faith. And like, I don't know, like the refrain that I feel like we heard as far as the construction of this offensive line was Todd Monken wants to rebuild it because he wants it to be younger and more athletic, and you can run some of the things that he likes to do. You'd really hope that can start to take shape this week because they're going to need it based upon what we've seen over the first two.
Certainly. Beat Gamer here says Rosengarten's first snap was bull rushed by Chris Jones and he got got. I think that's not really what happened. They slid away from him and or maybe they slid to him, whatever. They slid. It wasn't like a one-on-one situation. He fucked up his leverage, first snap in Kansas City, all those kinds of things. In the comment here, Chris Jones is going to do that to you.
Yeah, and it just goes into that point that like it's not going to be perfect right off the bat, no matter what.
Right, but it can allow you to run, hopefully, some more five-man protection and get to it. And to your point, Jake, you mentioned Joe Alt. Harbaugh notoriously proves this point. I always say rookie offensive linemen stink. Harbaugh has only ever had Ronnie Stanley, who was a blue chip top 10 pick, and Tyler Linderbaum, another blue chip. Centers aren't going to go top 10 pretty much ever, but draft him in the first round. Those are the only two to ever start as rookies, and they struggled. Joe Alt looks great. There's 3 tackles that are currently starting in the NFL. It's Fuaga on the Saints, it is Joe Alt, and it is J.C. Latham in Tennessee. And those guys are playing like solid football. Alt, I think, got a lot of run for what he did in the Raiders game. And I think Crosby only lined up on him like 10 times, but he did a really good job and he is great. So like you said, progression's not linear and it's not normal to get quality play out of a rookie tackle. It's really not normal. So yeah, the guy on the Chiefs. So yes, Kingsley Sumatia is playing. He's playing piss poor. He is a sore spot. So there's 5 total tackles playing. The 3 that are playing, I would say solid, at least when you look at metrics and all that crap. I haven't watched all their games, but or most of them, but it's the 3 high picked guys. So Rosengarten, not quite that. When is he going to start? I would gamble. I'll put minus 150 this week and next week. So against the Bills at the latest.
And for the record, I think that is the right way to go. I'm just saying that it's not going to, again, it's just not going to be a linear, like we throw him in there and everything is fixed right away.
And then someone says he stinks and then he lets up a sack and then he's like, see, it doesn't matter. He's playing, it's going to go round and around and around on the merry-go-round.